special guest today, Jordan Isham. Thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it. And what a cool background. I'd love for you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me on. Um, I grew up in a small town in Vermont, and uh, I guess was trying to figure out what I was going to do for college. Both my parents worked hard, were incredible people, and I knew I had to figure out a way to pay for college. So that was a big part of it. And so I was drawn to ROTC or the military, and so I enlisted when I was 17, a junior in high school. Went to basic training the summer between my junior and senior year there, and really did it in order to help my chances of getting into West Point, the military academy. I knew my grades weren't as great, and I wanted the leg up on the military side. I actually only applied to West Point. I was so sure I was going to get in, and really I knew that regardless, I was going to end up going there. But unfortunately, didn't get accepted the first time. I was about to speak at like my high school graduation, had no idea where I was going to college. And I remember getting the call that I wasn't accepted. I I freaking I remember crying in my basement that day, and like I knew I was like I had to get out of there. So I instantly applied to the University of Hawaii, which was like the farthest place I could run to from Vermont and hide. But then it turned out to be a great, best decision I ever made was to, I guess, persevere through that, reapply, get in the second time. This time I got Bernie Sanders nomination from Vermont and didn't just lean on like the military endorsement, and it worked out much better. So one of those things is kind of like lessons learned for me was just like how worth it was in hindsight, the experiences, the people, the network, the education I received from persevering through that storm of a year. And there's certain events in life or experiences or opportunities that just serve as catalysts for exponential growth. And obviously West Point's one of those. So I think that was something I was super grateful for at a young age, was somehow just committing to a plan, whether or not it was going to work on the timeline I wanted. I was going to go to West Point. Whether it had taken 1 year or 5 years to get accepted, I knew it was going to change my life. And so I was super glad I stuck with that. But then, yeah, fast forward, I branched infantry, infantry officer, did Ranger school, airborne school, the whole 9 yards, and had two different infantry platoons. And now in my last year of the Army, got about 6 months left, transitioning out, started to invest in real estate because I reverse engineered my life, and my vision required more money than the Army would provide or than the corporate world would provide. So I said, hey, I got to do something, lean on the W-2 income, take risk while I had stability, don't have kids. So that helped. And then just being able to learn and refine a model that's scalable and repeatable over time, and partner with the right people, surround myself with the right people, take steps that are already proven. I always say, like, the secrets to be a billionaire with a six-pack are already out there. It's on the internet, it's in the books. It's a matter of taking massive action to make it happen. And obviously there's ways to mitigate risk, but I was able to, through the Army income, like take risk in real estate, now build a business that works really well with the right people. And I'm about to get out and going to be making, 10x the income I do from the Army, and I have no doubt or hesitation that it's going to continue to grow and continue to be awesome. So it's not a scary step at all because I've been able to build it over the last few years. But yeah, that's where we are now. We buy single family properties and commercial assets as well, and it's been great.
Love it, man. Love it. One thing that came to mind when you were telling me the story is that, I always say adversity sometimes plants the seeds of things that we should have been doing all along. Like we get hit with the adversity and it reminds us, like, maybe we should have been doing that, right? I think during COVID, a lot of businesses were hit with a lot of adversity that they probably could have pivoted. They could have course corrected. And your story with the application, did you ever end up going to Hawaii?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. I went to Hawaii for a year. And
Okay.
it was when I was in Hawaii, I was terrified because I was waiting for the acceptance to West Point, and about halfway through I got it. And so the last 6 months in Hawaii were just incredible because I already knew I was going to West Point. I didn't really care about anything. I was just learning to figure out how to prepare, but also really just enjoying college and getting that out of my system. So that way at West Point, I could buckle down and make it happen.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your service. Thank you for that. And, obviously you went through the West Point process. Now you're getting ready to transition into civilian life.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about the real estate business. You said some single family, some commercial assets. Like what's the plan there?
Yeah, I think our vision has always been a commercial space, apartments, passive investing, and I just, again, watching other people go through their real estate investing journey or business journey. It's like pretty simple process. You buy a house, you house hack it, you buy with a VA loan, then you buy a duplex, then you flip a house, then you do an Airbnb. You just sort of feel it out, scale, and take baby steps. And as that happens, like just like anything in life, you start to attract what you focus on. And so now all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm a real estate. I would like when I bought a house with a VA loan and house hacked it, I was already like thinking I was some crazy awesome real estate investor. And, joining the groups and talking to the people. And now it's just starting to build, that like way of thinking, that cohort, and then it's easy to scale from there. It's just taking bigger and bigger steps and not being scared to, again, take massive action, where like the jump to the next level is always hard, but that's once you're a little comfortable or know what you're doing, it's time to level up. And that was us when we were transitioning from single family to buy our first commercial asset, which we did in February of this year. Like just knowing that and trusting that the model works, the margins are there. It's just now you're playing with with more money in a bigger game. So I mean, we raised 1.3 million, and we were definitely facing imposter syndrome through that. It's just, hey, we've been, raising 20 to 50,000 for single family homes or putting down payments down in that regard. And now all of a sudden we're taking this commercial asset where we know the margins are there. We know we can increase the NOI, add value, and refinance, pay investors back, but it's still scary to do that. And so I think, yeah, I mean, for us, we're just continuing to scale and grow in that regards. And, our vision is to continue to acquire more and more doors each year. So that way we're able to basically lean on the passive income, but also put the gas pedal down as our time in life allows. I think it's mainly about freedom of time for us. I'm a Christian, and so my faith is a big part of my motivation for like leveraging real estate to be a vehicle for income. So that way I can do really cool things for people in the world and just kind of help build God's kingdom and focus on the right things. And real estate, it allows me to have freedom of time. And with freedom of time, I hope my heart's in the right place to take money, to take time, and to really make some big moves and make things happen for other people. So that's what it's about. And I think there's no better way to do it than, when you can control that income source and you can count on it without too much stress.
100%. Yeah, different levels, brother. It's amazing how, we used to do 80 to 100 single families a year, and then we started doing self-storage, and now we have 10 Class A facilities. And I'm sure I'm just a guppy in the big world of things. So,
Right.
Constantly increasing that level, increasing that, in that industry that you're in right now, though, what do you see as like some of the worst advice that you've heard and given? Because I mean, there's so many talking heads and gurus out there today, spouting off about things that shouldn't work. What do you see as like a bad piece of advice?
That's a good question. There's so much content out there, and like, you scroll Facebook and all the different gurus like you're talking about. I think it's just important to understand, like, when facing all the content, like understanding the intentions of like what's being sold to you and why. I mean, I basically just don't like the bad advice is basically like 99% of it. So it's almost all bad advice. The good advice comes from people, that you trust, and mentors that, like have your best interest in mind. So I think it's not, I guess I can't think of a particular piece of advice as much as the source of the advice. Like anytime it's coming from a Facebook ad or guru, they're looking to make money. And I guess I'd rather have a one-on-one call with a mentor, and I'll get 10 times out of that more than having an hour call every week with a certain mastermind that I'm paying $10,000 for, and just, maybe get a chance to ask one question that's tailored to my situation. But I think what's more important is, I guess, distilling down, like based on the goals that someone has in life. For us, the goals we have is distilling down where the sources of our advice is coming from, and making sure we're surrounding ourselves with just high quality A players who we really admire and want to emulate. I guess, yeah, not so much about the advice itself, but who it's coming from.
Love it. Love it. What do you think in the last 3 to 5 years? Any processes or beliefs that have changed for you that have kind of, you know, changed the way you do the game, or you changed the way you do life?
Yeah, totally. I mean, anytime I can talk about mindset, I mean, it's awesome for me because that's what everything is for me. I have a personal counselor who
Hmm.
helps me understand like my childhood experiences, relationship with my parents, how that developed, my narratives, my way of thinking, and most importantly, my limiting beliefs. And then with
Mm,
that, I also have a performance coach who's more about like accountability with the goals I have and why I'm achieving those goals and what my purpose is, more like future focused. And between those two, I think I've had an incredible journey of like self-actualization over the last few years to really understand like what my strengths and weaknesses are, but more so than that, like why I tick the way I do, what motivates me and why I see the world in a certain way. And then from there, it's just about, again, like we do a Clifton strengths test with everyone in our company. And it's my number one strength is like taking action. It's called on the Clifton strengths test, it's called catalyst, but
mhm,
that's because it's just taking action is something that has allowed me to like, I guess, keep growing. A lot of times it's all mindset that prevents that. It's like I'm not so much into the guru stuff of like maybe affirmations in the mirror and all that, but I do think there's a lot of value in manifesting where you're going and
mm,
doing that before it happens.
mm,
Because going back to what we were saying about like you attract what you think about and what you do and what you want to be. I mean, I have a 3-year vivid vision that at all times I know exactly where I'm going to be in 3 years, and I reverse engineer that down to the 2-year goal, the 1-year goal, the 12-month goal, and then the monthly goals and the weekly goals. So it's all aligned and nested. And like I'm not just chasing money for the sake of it. I know
mm,
exactly how much money I need, what it's for, what I'm going to do with it, and how I'm going to get it. I mean, obviously, money and wealth being a vehicle for the realization of that purpose in life. And so I think, like, I guess all that to say is, yeah, that the mindset piece and ability to like understand first is understanding limiting beliefs, and then it's crushing them is has been huge. And one more tangible limiting belief is just the ability to raise capital. So
mm,
that was why we knew we needed to just start submitting offers on commercial assets and then figure out how to raise the money. And now we have more robust systems for capital raising. But at first it was just ripping off the band-aid. We were just
mm.
submitting offers. We went under contract and had no idea how we were going to close that property. Like we did not have, $2.5 million in the bank account, but we knew the margins were there. We knew it was a great deal, and we knew we needed to learn the skill. And there was no better time to start than yesterday, right? So we started throwing in offers and figured out a way and raised the money. But that's an example of, hey, just once you realize that you can achieve anything, it's just a matter of making sure that the numbers work and there's a way to do it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been done before, so we know we can do it too. And that was a limiting belief that now allows us to look at any property or any opportunity in the world and say, hey, we can make this happen.
Yeah. Find the deal and the money will follow, right? The old adage in real
Right.
estate. It's amazing. Most people they vacillate so hard on how am I going to come up with the money? Where's it going to come from? Who should I talk to? And the funny thing is, when you have money conversations with folks and you don't have a deal, you devalue, you discredit yourself, right? And I think that so many folks are trying to have money conversations without a physical deal. You're really, it's like you're pissing in the wind. You have nothing to offer them. You just want to know if they have money. I love that you went about it that way. But I want to take it back a second because one of the conversations I have a lot, I mean, I have a lot of active duty friends. I served long, long time ago. And I find that it seems that there's a big limiting belief around the investment into coaching and mentorships and masterminds. Like they don't have the value or they don't make enough money, and all these things come through their mind. And so it's interesting to hear somebody like yourself who's active duty, who's paying to invest in coaches, who's paying to invest in masterminds and mentors. What did that feel like the first time you had to cut that big check?
Yeah, the first time is it's totally scary because it's like hard to measure the ROI, right, on human capital.
Mm,
And I don't know. I guess I've just been blessed to like be reassured constantly that it was going to be worthwhile because I mean been the biggest reason for like my personal success in life, or at least like my contentment on where I am and where I'm going, who I am, what I'm doing is just really the investment in myself and in human capital. I mean, there's cheap ways to do it, like in books and podcasts, but then there's scarier ways to do it, and that's in, you know, mastermind groups that cost a lot and personal coaching. But at the end of the day, like, you could take away everything I've earned tangibly, right, on the material side, all my assets or money, and like I'm 100% sure I'll probably get that back within a year, not because of anything, but the mindset that has been cultivated, and the, you know, the way of thinking that's been nurtured by having a performance coach, digging into my I guess my beliefs with a counselor, and investing in masterminds of like-minded people who are where I want to go. And so now it's not, you know, and that's the easy way to explain it, is like, take it all away. It's coming right
Yeah.
back because of my mind, not because of anything else. And so there's no better investment than in human capital. And it honestly makes even taking action so easy. I think that's part of the confidence, is like, you know, no matter what happens, I know I have the ability and the people and the way of thinking, the confidence and the vision to make it happen. And that clarity is so reassuring and peaceful when you're navigating life and trying to figure out how to take the next big step.
100%, 100%. And those that are frequent listeners, I didn't coach Jordan into saying any of that, right? Because I do one-on-one coaching and masterminds. I have been for a decade, and I think it's amazing to me, you know, how few people are short-sighted about investing in themselves. You know, I think nothing of spending $250,000 on a college degree that hangs on the wall. Half of them don't use whatever they went to school for, but to spend 30 or 40 or 50 grand on a mentor, a mastermind, a group, that can skyrocket your career as long as you take advantage of the connections you make inside. I said your network is your net worth, right? And so, you know, that's a great explanation. I really love that. I want to wrap it up on this. If you could send a message, let's just picture for a second. You're driving down the 101 in California. There's 2 million people a day see this billboard, and it's going to be signed with your name underneath of it. What message would you put out to those 2 million people?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to our conversation right now. I mean, my biggest, I guess, the thing I tell all entrepreneurs or peers in the real estate space is just to emphasize and prioritize hyper accountability. And we're talking about coaching and you know, understanding yourself and masterminds, but it all comes down to hyper accountability. Like, we can push like so much farther than we think. And it's not until there's somebody that's kind of pulling you or expecting a result from you that you're going to find out how far you can go. And so, like, whether you're on the physical side, you sign up for a marathon and then figure out a way to make it happen, that's accountability. Whether you share your to-do list with a business partner for a given day, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, someone's expecting you to follow through, that's accountability. Or whether it's just sharing your goals or visions with somebody, that accountability is going to cause you to reach into the depths of you know, yourself that you didn't even realize you could go. So the billboard would just emphasize like how important hyper accountability is to continue to grow through life.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Awesome interview, Jordan. A lot of nuggets, golden nuggets dropped on the folks here today. How do they get a hold of you, or do you have a product or an event or anything coming up that they should reach out for?
Yeah, we're in Nashville. We have an office there. If anyone's in the Nashville area, wants to swing by Broadway Street, check out some country stars, please reach out to me. That's always fun too. And then on the business side, just LinkedIn or Facebook would be great platforms to reach out to me and connect. Would love to talk more with anyone.
Cool. And we'll throw those links in the show notes. So if you guys are listening, you're not watching the video, there'll be a link in there to connect with Jordan. Jordan, thanks for being on the show, man. Great show.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.